Hello, 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 hello. Gay, can I check with you? Is there sound, Gay?
There is sound, thank you, Tara.
Oh.
We can see you and hear you.
Yeah, well, that's always a problem. I'm always much happier when I can see and hear you, Gay. What a joy. And Lorraine, as usual in our relationship, I'm saying, Lorraine, can you hear me? Lorraine, and you'll just go, I'm not interested. Um, Colleague, how are you, Lorraine? Darling, talk to me.
I've just realised I haven't even brushed my hair this morning. I got up, I've been busy writing and I've just scrunched it up. So yeah, feeling a bit grotty and a mess. I didn't even have a shower. Look, I'm being honest.
Look, as you should be. And can I just say, you remain the inspiration. You remain our trope for the day.
Thank you.
For commitment, where personal hygiene is secondary to research excellence.
Absolutely.
So, Lorraine, we thank you for this, and colleagues, it's wonderful to see so many of our friends on the call. Lovely Catherine is in. Hello, beautiful Catherine. It is wonderful to see you again. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Oh, I just get a fine. That's fine.
Oh, that's unmuting. I just can't thank everyone enough for their intellectual generosity through all these write clubs and all sorts of stuff that's going on. Thank you.
You are very precious to us, and just as our previous comment with Lorraine is, your hair looks magnificent. So Lorraine, no pressure on us. Look how beautiful and shiny and glamorous Catherine looks. It's tremendous. So look, colleagues, we've got colleagues from all over the world. Wonderful Susan has joined us once more from New York City. We have at least one of the four horsemen of the zombie apocalypse that have joined us, that we famously met during COVID and then have destroyed the world since then. So Thomas, good afternoon, good evening, brother.
Good evening. I'm still in Tuesday.
Mate, I'm still in 1987. Don't worry about it. Colleagues, welcome. And Liam has joined us from the middle of the night in the legendary north of England. Good evening, Liam.
Hello, everybody. Oh, my days. What a reunion. There's Thomas, Maeve, Jackie. Oh, Julie. Wow.
It's
Lorraine.
It is just fantastic. So I'm just so thrilled. So look, we'll make a start, and colleagues, it's lovely to see you, and please feel free to enliven your screen and sound. This is what we describe as hello, Noor. This is what we describe as a fully digital environment. So please, we love to see you. So I'm terribly excited. So colleagues, we'll make a start. Wow. So welcome once more, dear friends, to the 2023 Whiteboard Soiree. Do I get a woo? I think, oh, Jenny, aren't you posh? You started there, Jenny. Yeah, I'm loving that. So those of you that don't know me, my name is Tara Brabazon, and I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies at Charles Darwin University. So it is our pleasure at CTU to host you from Darwin at the very, very north of Australia. It is our absolute privilege to be of service to you and guide us all into fabulous research ideas to change the world and change the future, because it has been a tough year, colleagues, hasn't it? Thanks for that, Gay. I was expecting it to be slightly easier than it is, but it's been a tough day and a tough day and a tough year. So we are thrilled to have you with us, and let's together make a decision to make 2024 magnificent, spectacular, one idea, one article at a time. And the people on this call, we can do this. So let's commence with an acknowledgement of country, acknowledging the traditional owners of all the lands on which we meet today, elders past, present and emerging, and any Indigenous colleagues with us today. Very exciting. Now, colleagues, this is a free and open and terribly relaxed space. And because of that, I know Thomas is ready for this. Colleagues, cheers to you. Compliments of the season, whatever your faith structure or lack of faith structure, we wish you well. Cheers. Oh, Jackie, it's lovely to see you. Jackie is, hopefully that's not pure gin, Jack. Oh, I don't get a response. Yeah, thanks, Jack. Fantastic, Jack. I'm thrilled to see you. What is it, Jack?
That comes a bit later, Tara.
It comes
it's water, and the gin will come a bit later. Give me half an hour.
I'll give you half an hour, because Jack, this is going to be Jack. Just so I'll just prioritize and talk about Jack to start. Jack is one of my dearest friends. I've known Jack 30 years. 30 years, Jack. known Jack pretty well 30 years, one of the great scholars on the planet to explore the nature of cross-cultural communication, cross-media communication, and also disaster management, disaster communication, disaster recovery. Jackie has produced some incredible work through her career, and it's just a privilege to be of service to Jackie as we move forward, as is for all of you. So this is an open and relaxed space. I'm going to sort of do a little bit of introduction at the start, and then it is open and free and groovy. Obviously, Victor is having a fantastic party. Good on you, Victor. See if I can mute you a little bit, Victor. Bless you, Victor. And of course, Megan, I should prioritise, is joining us on the road in Jack Kerouac style. So good morning, Megan. Do you want to say hello? Can you demute while driving, or her husband's driving? No, you can't. Can she? Yeah, you haven't demuted. That's all right. We'll get back to you, Megan. You're doing incredibly well on the road. So this is the Whiteboard Soiree. I've done this for 30 years. I'm now on my second whiteboard. Some of you remember my very old, decrepit one that was all broken. It didn't make it in the trip from New Zealand back, so we've got a brand new whiteboard this year. And what it does is it provides a strategy for you to plan with all of us together, get support, get care, get accountability, and also provide a bit of furniture that you keep bumping into during your year every single day going, where am I up to? So let me tell you about this methodology. Those of you that have a whiteboard, I can see some of you in the room have a whiteboard. That's terrific. Those of you that don't, and you have simply a big bit of white paper, that's tremendous. So Noor, what have you got? Noor's got white paper. Oh, Jackie's got a posh green whiteboard. Oh, it's one of those posh ones, Jack. It's like a glass thing. Oh, Jack, what is that, Dal? Oh, and Lorraine's got hers up on the wall. Jack, what have you got?
It's just the little portable El Cheapo. I don't know. Got it years and years ago. Probably had it for about 20 years, I think.
Oh, that is fantastic. So everyone's got their stuff. Julie's got her big bit of paper ready to go. Anne is ready to go. Maria's got a big bit of paper ready to go. This is great. So we'll start with a big bit of paper. So Lorraine, you're working off your whiteboard on the wall. So Lorraine will be getting up and down through this gig, so that'll be quite exciting. So this is how we do it, team, and this is why we do it in this way. So the stage one is grab yourself a big bit of paper, which Julie's got in front of you. Now, what I want you to do on that white paper is write down all your ideas. For our colleagues in PhD or master's programs or working out what to do with your honours stuff, write down your chapters. Write down what you think you're going to complete next year. Write that down for me. That's great. You're also writing down on your big bit of paper the really great teaching session or lecture or seminar that you delivered in the last year that you thought was really, really innovative. So it's a time to talk about SOTL, Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. Sonia's getting ready. That's great, Sonia. So SOTL, Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, and SOS, Scholarship of Supervision. So for those of you that have experienced as a student innovative supervision, this is the time to write about that. For the supervisors out there, this is the time to write about it, good and ill. Also, nitros are part of this conversation, non-traditional research outputs or objects, depending on your particular nation. So this might be about podcasts, it might be about photo stories, all sorts of innovative oral histories. So get the nitros going if that's your vibe as well. Brilliant. So that's your bit of paper, just stuff, ideas. Great. Winning. Now what we do, team, is we look at all the stuff on the big bit of paper and we start to combine them. So I wonder if those two ideas are actually the same idea, or those three bits are actually three sections of an article. So you start to look at the overlaps and the relationships as well. That's great. If that's all that Nora and I get out of today, we are winning, we are living the dream. That's great. So get your ideas down and organise, and then edit and combine them. Right. So that's stage one. Let's now move to stage two. And Lorraine is up. Lorraine is up and she's on the whiteboard. So that we're there. She's doing exactly what I said to do. So colleagues, those of you that have been with me in previous years doing this is the time to wipe down that whiteboard. But do please, good on you, Maeve, but do please photograph it first, because you might want to be moving some stuff from the previous year's whiteboard, as I have done, to this year's whiteboard. So photograph it, then wash it on down as Lorraine is doing. That's great. Then from that point, Lorraine, I need you to configure 3 headings for me. So there's your clean whiteboard, Lorraine, 3 headings. The first heading is to be written. To be written, and leave a lot of space there for me. And then your second heading is under review. Under review. And your third heading is accepted / published. Not a dash, Megan, a slash. So what we then do is accepted and published. So they are 3 headings. And colleagues, as you can see, there's mine. So heading, and I draw a line, and I use a different colour of texter to capture my different headings, right? So you have your 3 headings, and it's all blank at this point. Cool. There's your 3 headings. Now, what we're trying to do here, colleagues, with those 3 headings is we're trying to create a cascade. We're trying to create momentum for you. So we want to see how an idea cascades down the board. That's what we're looking for. Because as we all know, peer review can take a long time and we can all get a bit depressed. Thank you, Jenny, for that. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Liam had that unbelievable story of it taking, a year basically. So you lose heart. But what you do is by having the movement on the board, if something is inverted commas stuck in the middle stage there, that's cool. You're seeing it. You move to something else to cascade it down the list. And Jackie, by the way, you notice our one that's just gone through peer review, we've got one more referee to come through. That's under review at the moment. So that JE, by the way, is the legendary Jackie Hewitt. Yeah. So colleagues, what we aim to do therefore is keep you focused, keep you believing when reviewer 2 is doing all this sort of stuff. So if something gets knocked back, you don't lose heart, you send it out again and it stays in the middle bit of the board until it cascades down for you. So the goal of the whiteboard and Trello or all those other digital things, the goal of the whiteboard, colleagues, is to be a physical reminder of your progress, to have a physical reminder of your momentum. All right, so now we're going to start filling in the sections. Now, most of you will be able to fill in just a little bit at this point, and that's great. What we do is we start with the bottom section, which is that which has been accepted, right, or is going to be published in 2024. You may have nothing there. You may have a few little bits that have been picked up. How many have I got? I've actually got 3 that have been accepted that are appearing early next year. And of course, one of those is an article with Jackie Hewitt. So I've got one under review with Jackie and one that is being published in the new year. So at the bottom bit of your whiteboard, what has been accepted? Put that in and go, yeah, because that's the party bit of the board. Do that for me. What you then do after what has been accepted is you fill in the middle bit of the board. So if you have stuff, Liam, that's under review, right? And for a lot of our early career researchers and sort of the rest of us, but for our early career researchers, you have a lot, Liam, in the middle bit of the board. And you can lose heart. But the good thing is you're seeing, you've written it, it's sitting there and it's moving. So fill in the material that's under refereeing or review at this point. Great. So 2 bits of your board are done and they'll be probably underpopulated at the start. Then, of course, what you did on your white bit of paper, you now translate that onto the top bit of the whiteboard. So what is to be written. So Lorraine, all the ideas, the PhD chapters you're working on that'll become articles, put that all up there on the top of the board. And you may have 3 things up there, you may have 5 things up there, you may have 20 things up there. No judgment, put them up there. The idea must not be lost. Put it up there and let it cascade. Okay, so that's your progress. So all of this is to give you hope and heart that you're going to move through this process and believe in this process. The goal is movement without judgment. So it's trying to take the emotions of reviewer 2 out of the process and get it moving. Okay, so that's the process. That's the methodology. We did it in 10 minutes. Now, team, it's over to you. Okay, now let's talk about anything you'd like to talk about and how we cascade it through. So should we start with Liam? So Liam, mate, because obviously you're in the middle of the night, so I was like, Liam is amazing that he's even here. But Liam, where are you in this process? Because you're a good, outstanding early career researcher. What does your board look like, mate?
Okay, so my Microsoft Word document, which is functioning as my board at the moment, yeah,
Yes.
I know, shock horror, is actually, so the last Whiteboard Soiree I came to in 2022, the article that I was sending to submission is now going to be in publication for 1st of January. So that's, one article down. The queer criminology article that I'm writing about relational pedagogy, I've got to hand that in on the 24th of January. And then the edited collection finishes. I've got to send out a number of articles for peer review in February and write up the front matter on the edited collection. I'm also in negotiation with Emerald Publishing about turning my thesis into a monograph. So that's what I need to do next.
Right, so Liam, that's superb. So as you can see, so from January 1, colleagues, this is very common for early career researchers that you have worked hard all year and right at the start of the new year, stuff is about to appear. So Liam, that's brilliant. That's your section to, accepted to be published. Then your material that's under review that you're sending out goes in the middle of the table. That's great. Now, Liam, obviously, you're in a very difficult teaching job, as Thomas is in, very, very difficult, complicated academic job. Now, the planning for the top bit of the board matters so much for you because you can get exhausted. So your table could be, if you like, bottom heavy, which is rare, unless we focus on the top bit of the board. So where are you at on that, Liam? Are the ideas coming and you're able to populate the first third?
Yeah, so I'm going to turn the methods chapter from my PhD into an article.
Right.
With Socrates Online. It's a shorter article, so it's kind of like a methods in action paper. So it's using sociograms what I utilised as a participatory method in my PhD, and I'm going to utilise that and some of the graphics from that and see whether I can write something up about that, which is a bit of a shorter article, just to give publication. I'm also going to be, hopefully, in what would be September 2024, I've submitted an abstract to the Journal of Youth Studies conference that is in Ulster University in Northern Ireland. So, hopefully.
That's brilliant. So whack that at the top. And also, as Liam said, he is working on a book. So Emerald Publishing, fantastic publisher. I've published twice with them, 3 times. I've found them a very, very good publishing house, very, very good sub-editors, very strong, very good support all the way through, Liam. So that's tremendous. So don't judge yourself too much. If you can get to 5 at the top bit of the board, I think that's brilliant, mate. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to kind of not lose focus, but also, I've got, so before the 10th of January, I've got 110 scripts to mark, essays. So I'm going to be working quite late. I'm probably going to be working Christmas Day again, which is just a bit horrendous, but never mind.
Yeah, me too, brother. I'll keep you company. But what I'd say, Liam, is the whiteboard gives all of us, when we're at the stage you're at, efficiency. So you're not faffing out going, where am I at? Where did I put that article? What's going on? Have I got any ideas? You've got it all on the whiteboard. So if you've got half an hour to write, you know what you're writing on.
Yeah, and I do have to say, I'm using those micro moments that you suggested last week. In the middle of the night. That's when I'm writing this queer criminology article. And it's needed because there's been some guidance about education that's been mobilised against the LGBTQI community in England and Wales as of yesterday. So, yeah, it's needed.
Oh, I agree. It's tremendous. And I certainly will be citing that very, very heavily. Thomas, mate, do you want to, just for our early career researchers, but also modelling for our PhD students going to the next stage, which is so difficult. Thomas, do you want to sort of speak with your other horseman of the zombie apocalypse colleague, Liam, about managing this difficult stage and getting the whiteboard and momentum going?
Yeah, I think... So I've been in spirit doing the whiteboard with y'all since 2019, but I haven't made it to a soiree yet. And this year is the first year things are congealing, and I'm like, oh, there is momentum here. So it's taken me like 3 years to actually like figure out like, oh, I can like move stuff down this board. It's moving actually, and there's already like stuff populated for January. So like I'm finally at that stage. So like this whole like there's not a lot up top, there's not a lot up bottom. Like I've been there forever, and I look at that whiteboard and I go, what am I doing? What am I writing? Why am I writing? And now it's like actually I have like clusters of stuff that are actually like moving harmoniously now. So that is like give it time is my advice, is that like it will come. And now I have the opposite problem where I have way too much stuff at the top end, and I'm like, I need to trim this down because there's no way I'm writing all this year.
And then, of course, Thomas brilliantly said, but it does take 3 years to get the momentum. But as you've said, Thomas, if you've got lots on the top, don't worry about it. Pick the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that is perhaps timely. So as Liam's talked about, queer criminology, crucial, this is the moment, this is the time, prioritise that. For me, at the top of my board, I think I'm now ready, and Jackie will talk about this in a second, but I think I'm now ready to get the deep claustropolitanism theory out in popular culture and in the university. And it's taken me probably 5 or 6 years since Steve's death to get to the theoretical space where I am now and get those scaffolding articles to get me there. But as you've said, it's maintaining that belief, isn't it, mate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have 3 things on here that have been here for 4 years at this top of the whiteboard. And I'm like, I need to get these out of here. They're hanging out and they don't need to be.
And that's great. And like take them on a walk. Take our 4-year friends for a walk and make this the year. Thomas, that is absolutely brilliant. Well said, mate. And look, so we've got our early career researchers, and that's important for our ECRs on the call, but also our PhD students moving out of the project and into, you know, the rest of their lives. So I think Liam and Thomas are archetypes of the challenges of being an ECR, but also the gift and the potential if you can just keep upright and keep walking. Brilliant. Now, can I go to my mate Jack? Good morning, Professor Hewitt. Now we're senior. I'm obviously so much older than you and so much closer to death, Jackie. But can you tell us about, you know, for people at our stage of our career, why we bother planning? Why we don't just sort of like drink Chardonnay on a summer afternoon? What does planning do for people at this sort of stage, Jackster?
Yeah, I guess it's for 1 year or even 6 months. It tends to be at this stage for us, it's, well, what are we going to do for the next 5 or the next 10 years, depending on what your plan is, heading towards retirement after all these years. I mean, we never truly retire, do we? But, you know, we just don't get paid.
But that's significant.
It's coming back on.
Keep going, Jack. Sorry, mate.
It's kind of looking back on the body of what you've done and thinking, well, how do I either build on that, or is there something at this point in my life that I haven't done that I'd really like to dabble in?
I think that's great. And I think Jackie's point, I hadn't thought about that, Jack. As always, you teach me. For the senior colleagues on the call, this is us really planning. This is 1 year, but 1 year to 5 years. What's the trajectory? How are we bringing the ideas that have taken 10, 20, 30 years to develop, how are we pushing them forward? I think that's spot on, Jack. Well done. And mate, obviously you wrote a fantastic book this year we should talk about the importance of research and research planning and so forth. Yes, hold it up, Jack. Hold it up.
Okay. It's coming.
I wish I had my books like that. Oh, Jack, that's great. So there it is. There's the book, and we're so proud of Jackie for that. Now, Jackster, how long did that take to write, mate?
Oh, I had 6 months on research leave, so I was kind of doing bits and pieces of it before then. But then I sat down in that 6 months and I worked on that and 4 other things. So I've got academic ADHD, so I like to work on multiple things at the same time. If I get a bit bored with that one, I go over to something else.
And that's, I think, also the gift of the whiteboard, isn't it, Jack? So it holds us accountable. We're working on this, working, and move that on down. I'm fascinated. So, Jack, just to get a sense of your whiteboard, are you top heavy? And obviously, I would not ask that in any other context, Jackie. But how does your whiteboard look? Has it got a few big items at the top? So what's it like, Dal?
So I'll read it out. At the top, I've got 4 floods to farming will forget. It doesn't say farming, it says something else, but you can insert appropriate words. An article about listening in disasters. A book with a couple of other people, which is about this amazing Australian woman who was an accompanist to Black African American Jubilee Fisk singers. And then she became a journalist. This is in the 1900s. So then also there's one at the bottom called Waxing Waning. Get your tops off, ladies. Talkback radio and the power of talkback radio. So this one at the bottom, the Get Your Tops Off, ladies, has been marinating for years. I've gone back and forward to it. It's changed shape. But I finally kind of have in my head the idea about, let's talk about our case study in there about this woman, amazing woman called Shirley Grant from Melbourne, who used talkback radio to get a rise in the old age pension probably 10, 15 years ago now. So yes, my whiteboard is top heavy. And today I just got the news in the second bit under review. I've got the one, our hyperlocal. I've got 2 case studies about political leadership in disasters, and one just came through as a reject. So my job is to find a new home for that one.
But can I say, Jack, that's as you and I are linked. The rejection is great because actually the whiteboard softens the rejection. So okay, we don't go, it just stays in the middle part of the board. We resend it out again, and it just lives there until it cascades down. Jack, that's absolutely brilliant. Wow. I can't wait to read that listening work, mate. That is absolutely huge. You legend. Oh, well done, you. Should we go? We've got obviously a lot of master's students and PhD students on the call as well. Now, this is challenging. So I will go to Lorraine because Lorraine's got the biggest whiteboard, I believe, in the Southern Hemisphere. So they can see it from space. So Lorraine, where are you on the whiteboard journey now, mate?
Well, literally, I've gone from PhD, because I'm only a year and a half in, to book. So I know that I have written the word papers with a question mark because I'm not sure yet. I haven't got the vision of what may transpire from the PhD, but I certainly know there's a book because there was a lot of the interview, the background to the participants that can't be included because of confidentiality. So I'd like to do a follow-up where I know that the participants will be happy to be identified, and I'll get, a much broader picture of their life and the basis for the attachment to the club, which I'm actually researching. So yes, but I know that I need to sort of not go too broad and come back a bit.
Yeah, so Lorraine, what we say for high degree students, and this is masters and PhD students, is keep the publications as nested as you can in the doctorate. So try not to go as off-piste as possible. Try and keep it sort of nested. Doesn't mean you just focus on the thesis. If you get 3 chapters done in a year, that's a great year of a PhD, right? So that's great. And then make those 3 into articles. So bang, bang, thanks for playing. But also, Lorraine, things like if you do a presentation for somebody in the community, which of course is quite a big deal. I'm amazed you're not booked out most days, to be honest with you. But, libraries, community organisations and so forth book you for it. Then do a talk and then write that up in some form. It may be an academic article or it may be something, I don't like talking about the conversation because I think there's some problems there and they don't pay authors, but something like those professional organisations where that's a great article for you as well, still nested in the thesis, but gives you those alternative dissemination sort of methodologies, if you like.
Thank you. That's going on my board.
Yeah, I think that's great because obviously you've got so many relationships with community, mate, that this year say yes a bit. say yes a bit. And also, if you ever, and obviously you've talked about in Digital Office Hours a couple of weeks ago, Lorraine, the notion of sort of leaving an academic job and the challenges of that. I think there's a piece there, to be honest, Lorraine. I think there's a piece about the leaving of academia, even temporarily, and and you talked about this grief and mourning and losing that connection with students. And then what happens now? I think this interregnum moment in your life would be incredibly useful, I think.
Thank you, Tara. Yeah, around that identity and moving into different phases of life. Yeah, there is so much there, like approaching retirement and with all what comes with that. And
Lorraine, that might end up being an appendix to your thesis itself as a positionality statement too.
Yes. Thank you.
You're the best. Should we talk to legendary Jenny? Good morning, Queen Jenny. You look gorgeous. Now, where are you at on the journey, Queen Jenny?
Thank you. I'm just about to start the second year of my PhD at RMIT in creative writing. So I'm having a lot of fun because I just did honors the year before, and I got a couple of publications out of honors, and I'm still working on the the same project. So lots of stuff is developing. I've got a Miro whiteboard, and I always like to disrupt what I'm told to do. So I broke it down into a few sections, one for peer-reviewed articles, one for I wanted to separate the nitros and then separate the monograph. And now I have a question for you about the monograph.
Yes.
Because I've been reading that more than 10% of it can't be published. And I've got this creative critical work, and I've got some's been published in peer-reviewed journals, some is forthcoming. And then I've started to withhold things because I'm like, well, I'll just shoot myself in the foot if everything's published, right?
Yeah. So Jen, firstly, so many things to say about that. The notion of the 10% thing, that's rubbish. Some random urban myth person has invented that. I just paid $46 and have been complaining about it for 5 weeks because I bought what was a 2023 book. But of course, it was published, it was compiled from stuff from the 1990s, man, when we were all different people, Jenny, and you mightn't have even been born. So so there's no rule about published here, published there, but you do have to acknowledge it, Jen. So if you've got, say, in a book, which, can be 70,000 words, mate, and 3 of those chapters may have been published in some form, what you do is you self-cite, so you handle self-plagiarism by self-citing. But also, Jen, what I do is I'd rewrite and reshape and refinish those pieces that were peer-reviewed articles for a book, because books are different. There's a lot of colleagues on this call that have written books. I'm at 20, I'll be at 23 at the conclusion of this year. So what you've got to do, Jen, is you've got to think about and care for your readers. And I suppose I've done pretty well in my career randomly living, basically on a pimple on the arse of the world. I often live in these very, very isolated places. And I've managed to sustain a career, Jen, because I care for my readers and I respect my readers. So the way you don't respect your readers is there's all the stuff that exists and you simply compile it back together and try and sell it again. With a book, it's got to have that freshness and that newness. Now, I think it's good, Jen, to trial the book out in different forms and then come and bring it together. So there's no hard and fast rule. What you do in a book is you say an earlier version of chapter 3 appeared as, and you're transparent and upfront and clear on that, right? And then we're winning from there. But always, Jen, and I mean, you're a professional writer, as is our Maeve, always remember to come to this situation with respect for the reader. Someone is sacrificing a meal to buy that book. Right? Someone is not looking after themselves so they can enjoy and share this time with you and share your expertise. So if you always come to book writing in that fashion, then if someone is paying, Jack, what are some of the Springer books now? They're 40, 50, 60. I just don't even tell Jamie, but I just spent $80 on a book, Jack.
No.
But
Mum's the word.
oh, but Jack, it is a real responsibility, isn't it, when you are writing books, to know that someone is sacrificing real money to share a bit of their life with you. And so, Jen, that responsibility is why. So there's no 10%, but just make sure it's meaningful. And I'll try and explain it another way, Jen. The article exists as peer review. Peer review articles are different from book chapters. They are different. The book chapter must serve the book. It must serve the argument of the book. The peer-reviewed article must simply serve a very finite, small little project and go through referees. They're different. It's not just scope and scale. And Jack, you might want to speak on this. It's not just scope and scale. It's the capacity to offer an undulating, careful, respectful argument for a reader. Jack?
Yeah, absolutely, Tara. You don't want to just be tilling old ground or, making the same old cake that you've made for Christmas every year. No cheesecake this year. Austerity measures apply. But yeah, you do want to take readers to somewhere they haven't been before. And I'm really interested in the inequities in the world in terms of our colleagues in the global south who can't afford books, and their libraries don't provide access. So the model that you've used, often, Tara, open access, has been absolutely bloody brilliant for our colleagues in the global south. So, they're able to access journal articles, books, etc. But yeah, the book is really a journey. That book I wrote that came out this year, it's got the word journey in the title, and I thought it was really naff at the time. But it kind of came around to understanding that planning your academic publishing journey is just that. It's a journey. Just like a book takes the reader on a journey, so are we doing this throughout our career with everything we're writing. And I love the fact that you talk about respect for the reader. I always say the reader singular, which is of course, quite possible these days.
Oh, Jack, not for your stuff, Jack, but I think that's a great point, that you've got to, and I suppose I've been fortunate. I've sold a lot, and I've sold a lot throughout the African nations, a lot in the Middle East. I've committed very deeply to the different audiences around the world, Jen, and those audiences have followed me. And if it's a useful model for you, you might want to focus on open access refereed articles, www.doaj.org, the directory of open access journals. Platinum open access doesn't cost anybody. And what that does is that builds people who care for your work and respect your work. And then you take those experiments in the refereed articles, Jen, and you unpick the trousers and you make a shirt out of it. Does that make sense? So the claustropolitanism one is a great example for me. I've been working on that for 5-6 years. And I've had to stretch my brain, and I've had to have the world and theory catch up with what I need it to be. So I've published probably 5 or 6 careful articles in the last 5-6 years, building that up. Now I'm going to unpick all those articles and reorganize that material and scope and scale, enlarge on it for 2 separate monographs, Jen. So Jen, am I helping a bit? Oh, do I get a sound? Do I get?
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's wonderful to think about it that way, like not just regurgitating so much as, creating something new out of the old, something fresh.
And Jen, you've done something amazing with the whiteboard, which I recommend for colleagues. Wonderful, Maeve's on the call, to actually, if you want to separate out, particularly as an early career researcher, these are my nitros, this is my creative-led work, this is my journalism. These days, because I'm so old, Jen, I just go, it's an output. #no judgment. All outputs are equal. I'm not one of those tiering of journals. You might be, knock yourself out. But an output is an output, and it's respected. But I think you organising it by genre is truly brilliant. Truly brilliant. Now, can I go to Julie, Julie, I'm about to have a Julie afternoon, by the way, and reading Julie's thesis. Now, Julie is going to be finishing her PhD probably in the next 3-4 months, and it is a stunning thesis. Thank you, Anne. You're a legend, Anne. You're legendary, Julie, and it's a remarkable topic. Jackie's going to lose her head when she finds out what this topic is, but this is clearly a book for me. What's your feeling about dissemination? Because 2024 is going to be your dissemination year, Jules.
I'm very excited. I haven't thought that far. I would like to do a book. I've got no articles behind my name, but hopefully once we get going, I will have. I've got ideas. I was just talking with Lorraine. I've got ideas about a composite narrative methodology, which there's someone, I think, in West Australia who's used it, especially with confidentiality and anonymity, that I'm wondering whether that's possible. And I just know I need to get it out before someone else does.
Yes.
So
do you want to just tell the topic? Tell the topic so that we can all worship at your feet, madam.
I'm looking at why there's a dearth of women in political leadership positions in Australia. And I've turned it on its head and said, why is there an overrepresentation of men at cabinet? Yeah. And I've interviewed both men and women trying to understand where they sit, because the appointment process is completely opaque. So these are the most important jobs in the country, well paid, and there's no knowing how or where they got there, but we're told that they get there on merit. And so what I've said is, okay, I'm taking you at face value, explain to me what merit is. And that's what I'm packaging together.
Right. So, Jules, what I think we do for your whiteboard, so Jenny, we're about to do what you're going to do for Jules now. What I think we aim to do, Jules, is we have 3 refereed articles out this year. I think we do one on merit. That is just screaming at me right now. The very notion of political merit, do that. And we come up with 3 articles and we get those out while we're finishing off the thesis. Then we unpick those trousers and we remake it into a shirt, and we configure that as a scholarly monograph on leadership and the differing configurations of merit as per gender and sexuality. So I think we go for 3 articles. So Jen, you see what we've done there? We're going to take 3 of her theses chapters and make them articles just to build up that cascade for her, and then go into the singly authored scholarly monograph, which will make your name. I mean, you're famous anyway, Jules, but even bigger than that. Amazing. Is that a goer, Jules? Oh, fantastic. We are so thrilled with you. Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, you're the best. And look, I will just touch base with the great state of Western Australia. Big hello to all the West Australians on the call. Hello, Mary. Mary, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yes, the big publication for me this coming year, of course, is going to be my master's thesis.
Oh.
And I have really thought about it. It's like you really do have to have a bunch of writing under your belt before you can start doing the articles. You really need to write the thesis first. But having said that, I did present in November on my honours thesis and have been invited to include that in a book, and the deadline has now been changed from March to May for that. So I will have a chapter coming out in a book. And the overall plan is just to turn it into a scholarly monograph. And I will have to think about articles as well.
Oh, Mary, you've just muted yourself right at the end of that sentence. But what I'd say, Mary, is that's great. And with the master's theses and even with the honours at times, think about those short books, the publishers that are going for the short books. Emerald is doing it. Springer Briefs is absolutely tremendous. I've done a lot of work with them. They've been great. So the short book is a tremendous thing. So don't think for one moment that a master's degree, it's not big enough. Actually, it's perfect in length for a short book. Fantastic. You're the best.
Right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you to the great state of Western Australia, and thank you for joining us so early. I see our new friend Sonia is on the call. Good morning, Sonia. And your whiteboard is powerful, girlfriend. I should say Sonia is planning to write a PhD by prior publication, so she's front loading us. So Son, tell us about you and what you're doing, superstar. Excited.
I'm super excited. Your physical is my emotional. So yeah, it's top heavy as you describe it. I was cheeky and in published. I did write a chapter in a book. This year was published, so that was exciting. So I'm going to keep it there as energy. Really, for me, my journey from half a decade ago, looking at equity with people experiencing homelessness. So I actually listened to, I think it was vlog 41 of yours, but years ago, just to look at how to go about this whiteboard soiree. And I just got so much from it because I realised that over half a decade, I've worked in innovative practice in Australia, and I have spoken about it countlessly, and I've literally been in the weeds and the doing, and I haven't written a damn thing about it. So it's just going back and looking at, okay, I really loved your ideas on, how many talks, what have you been speaking about? So this morning I sat and themed that, and then looked at my Churchill Fellowship and the learnings that have come from the Churchill Fellowship. Yes. I would love to write. I remember someone in the Churchill Fellowship last year, a chap, I think he's in his 70s, and he's a fellow, and he said, why aren't people writing their fellowships in books? And it made me think, the fellowship will be published on the site, but I thought also, when you're talking about the brief books, the Springer brief books, there's so much that will come from it, but I don't want to overlap in relation to having a small book about findings, and then articles, so just around respect for the reader. And then also I'm, from my recommendations from the fellowship, I'm starting a few different things in universities and starting to teach around, a few topics, also schools, and also developing a national, board or committee or something in relation to the topic. So there's lots of development work happening, and I tend to move quicker in action. So for me, it's tracking back and going, all right, well, what are the themes? What's the crossover on these themes? And then what am I doing this year? Who am I speaking to?
Yes.
And I've got some international speaking opportunities this year in France and India and London. So it'll be based around the fellowship. So, yeah, it's just really looking at what are the topics, what are the themes, what have I uncovered in this space, and how do I, start that journey.
Oh, Sonia, this is amazing. So as you can see, Sonia it's amazing, Jack. Who would have thought the PhD by prior publication would have something as wonderful as Sonia being brought into it? So Sonia is front loading everything this year so she can enroll. In a year's time, when we have this gig, she'll be about to enroll and start in 2025. So it's stunning. So Son, just a couple of things about that. When you're doing these remarkable speeches, and what an inspirational human you are, try and get to a point where every seminar you deliver, that becomes an output. So never waste a seminar, never waste a conference presentation, and try and do it relatively quickly. Because Jack, as well as I do, you do these damn talks, and then, you did a fantastic piece of work 10 years ago and it's gone. So if we can all as a family this year make a decision to, if we get to do a conference or a seminar or a gig at our university, try and back it up, girlfriend, and finish it and send it out within 2 weeks. But Son, this is tremendous. And also focus on, I think, because you're doing so much of what, I don't like this phrase, but is often called grey literature. Grey literature leading into nitros can also be entered into a PhD by prior publication, Son. So that material can also be used.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, Son, we wish you well. We wish you well. And should we go to the legendary Rebecca, who's been so glamorous and sort of sitting there in that room? Where have they locked you in, Rebecca? Where are you? Are you in an empty cupboard?
I'm at the CSIRO.
Are you?
Sneakily using one of their offices for my own amusement.
This is great. I'm terribly excited. So, Rebecca, what are you thinking of writing for the year?
Well, I'm a PhD student at the University of Adelaide, so I have lots of thesis writing to do. My supervisor told me very strictly to come to this meeting to get inspiration to write. So I have chapters that I have lined up lots of paper ideas. I work on lots of different things at the same time. So I have a few paper ideas from previous projects that I'm planning to work on over the course of the year. And then I really like the idea of turning presentations into some writing too. And I have 2 or 3 presentations lined up next year that I think I can turn into articles. And then there's a bit of policy work coming out in my field relatively soon that I think I should capitalize on. So
really well said, Rebecca. So much to respond to there. If you're in one of those fast moving fields and you're at CSIRO, so you are in a fast moving field, it's a great example of trying to keep, I know it's hard getting up a bit early, but when you get that opportunity as an old human being, Beck, mate, they happen so rarely in a career. They happen so rarely in a career. And if you miss those moments, they actually do never come back again. They never, I know, I'm going to be sort of negative, but I'm an old goth. So it is important. You're in one of those moments and there's a policy change and it's exciting. And sort of Julie has managed to get this wave. So we're going to ride this wave with Julie and we'll ride it with you. So take the week, write it up, send it out.
Thanks for that.
We are thrilled, and thank you for joining us from the cupboard. That's exciting. And should we go from the CSIRO cupboard to the glamour that is Helen, who looks like she's joined us from London, Marks and Spencer. So
it's all fake. It's all fake.
Don't ruin my delusions. You just look like you've come from this location. So Helen, how are you going, my darling? What are you working on? What's the plan? What's the dream, darling?
So I'm quite new in my career. I'm an early career researcher and I've just started my PhD on the 6th attempt to get funding for that. So woo! And I've put all of my papers that I've contributed to or submitted on my published list, even though some of them are 2 years ago, just because it makes me feel like I've accomplished something.
Spot on. That's fantastic. And what sort of year is in front of you, Helen? What's the sort of stuff at the top of your whiteboard?
At the top. So I've got a couple of papers that have just been, the abstracts have just been accepted for a conference in the summer. So they're due in the spring and they're related to some teaching that I'm involved in and some course design around social innovation with students, master's students. And then I'm trying to develop a couple of pieces that are in line with my PhD. So I'm collaborating with an external, he actually runs a bakery. He runs a bakery and it's a hub of the community. So we're going to write about that and how that's helping to develop relational social design practices. And then I'd like to try and write about what is in place in I'm doing a very place-based study for my PhD. So I'd kind of like to do a bit of an analysis piece maybe on what's there, because I think that'll probably be a chapter of the PhD. And then I've got 2 papers which haven't got a home yet. But I started them last week and they're all around a podcast that I produced with a colleague and how that's helped us to become better researchers, the process of producing that podcast. So I'm writing them every Monday morning. I have 2 hours. The first 2 hours of my week is a writing morning where I go to a different office and I sit in a different place and I just write those papers. And I'm getting there bit by bit, so I just need to find a home for those.
Well, Helen, I'm that excited. You saw Thomas. So Thomas and I, we've done a bit of podcasting in our time, Thomas. So you can see Thomas immediately writing your name down, Helen, not in a stalky way. Not in a stalky way. No. But actually, Helen, that sounds extraordinary. And it's a great example of what can be a process piece about, media development, media and regional development, that coming together, becoming an article. That's terrific. Thomas, how excited are you by this?
It's fantastic. I've had 2 doses of great podcast news because Paul, who's usually at coffee hour or writing hour, is also putting together a podcast too. So I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. What I've called the audio academic project is the future, Helen. So we are with you. We are so excited. And if you start to see fantastic US and British people start to sort of stalk you on social media, you know that it's because of this call, for which I apologise.
Fabulous. Thank you.
You're the best. We should go to, I'm conscious of time, colleagues, but the wonderful Tiffany has been with us the whole way through and so engaged. So Tiffany, tell us something fabulous. What are you working on, Tiff?
That me? Is this
Yes,
Tiffany
you.
Beattie? Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Well, oh, Tara, I discovered you because a colleague mentioned your name, and oh my goodness, you've just been fabulous. So, so I just started my PhD journey about a month and a half ago. So I'm learning the ropes and figuring some things out. And as I'm listening to you, I have absolutely no idea what I could write next year. However, I'm also a clinical psychologist and I have my own group practice. And so I've been thinking about wanting to do some blogs for my website and for my community, and thinking about how I can take what I'm doing in these very early stages of just a literature review and figuring out what's known and what's not known, and how I can maybe just massage that into things that would be useful for my community, and then gaining some confidence because I did my master's about 10 years ago, so kind of getting back into it all. And then just exploring and letting things grow. So my whiteboard, which is not here at the moment, but I have my pages. I'm trying to think about, okay, so you've got 12 months, one thing a month. How does that fit into what I'm studying and what I'm learning in my reading? And then I don't know where to go from there, but at least it's a start.
Tiffany, you and I were meant to have this moment and congratulations on the start. It's an incredible moment of courage to make a step into a doctoral program. So we're proud of you and we're just thrilled with that. And what you've said there is not small at all. I get my students at the start in their first year to write what I call discussion papers, so 1,000 words. So a blog is a great example of that, because the best students who finish quickly write all the way through, Tiff. So no judgment there, all right? So it's not like, oh, we've read article, book, posh. Nah. You doing a blog is as meaningful and as valuable as me writing a book. Honestly, don't make any judgment on that. You are doing an amazing thing, and make that part of the cascade too. So write down what you think might be 5 great 1,000-word blogs. And that is a magnificent way to start the thesis.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You are the best. And look, I need to go, as we're reaching the end of our party, I need to go to the Red Queen, because obviously we can't finish without the Red Queen. And there's she's smiling at me. I can't, my sister from another mister, Kylie. I finished with our favourite engineer. So Kyles, do you want to talk about, I'm obsessed by your whiteboard, but where are we on the journey?
Well, this one is my work one,
I
so
know.
don't look at that one. But yeah, again, I'm a bit like a couple of other people where I'm going to put the one that I may have had published a year and a half ago down the bottom, just 'cause it makes me feel very special. But yeah, I've got a lot of things being in that final year. I've got chapters to write, results now that I've sort of done a lot of the reviewing of my data, conclusion chapter. My paper that has been rejected 6 times from various journals has now been picked up by a national conference by the Asset Management Council. So I now have to tweak it for that, and they will peer review it and also put it in. So bugger all the ones that didn't want me. So I'm very happy. And it was funny. I was actually spending my lunch hour trying to find another journal to send it to when this email popped up, and I'm like they knew. So very happy. So that's probably the big thing. I think I've got to have it in at the end of February. So that's my next big thing for the conference in April. But I do love this idea of this podcast. I know we've talked around it, and I always thought this is a really nice idea. But again, as an engineer, it's only just clicked today talking. Thank you very much, Helen, and also Thomas. Love your podcast too around that. Is around a community of practice for asset management. And I'm like, I could talk to people in asset management in local government from a podcast perspective. And I'm like, I like that idea too. That's going to blow my supervisor's mind because it's so unengineering. So yeah, lots to do.
Unengineering. That's our next T-shirt project for the next year, Carl. Can I say, Carl, if you're thinking about dissemination, I always use the triangle. So the triangle is knowledge, platform, and audience. And I think people just go, oh, look, I've got an idea, and out it goes. If you can continue to think about that triangle, who's the audience that you want to reach? And for you, the podcast is a great platform, and that disseminates that particular bit of knowledge. So that's tremendous. And Kylie, there are now sonic journals. So if you do a series of the podcasts, they can be nested together. you as a great engineer write the exegetical component, and it's an article.
Nice.
A multimodal article.
And as usual, all through my career, I've taken the most interesting, I won't say difficult, interesting journey on anything I do. I can't do something just the run-of-the-mill, simple way. It's boring.
But Kyles, the world has changed. The world has changed. PhDs have changed. Remember, I talk about the porous PhD. This isn't a book that stays in the library. It hasn't been like that for 10 years. This bleeds and merges and zombifies everything that it touches.
That's the other shit, zombification.
Yes. Fantastic. Colleagues, we've got through a lot of our wonderful people. Can I just say thank you so much for sharing this hour with us all. We love you, Noor. We love you forever. You are all spectacular people. I thank you for what you are doing for the world, because it is courageous. So courageous to make a decision to wake up in the morning and take a risk and read and write and think in anti-intellectual times. And you have made a decision to be that human of courage. And we do it by working on the whiteboard, believing in ourselves, believing in the process, and believing in momentum. So, colleagues, whatever your faith structure or lack of faith structure, I wish you a wonderful week or so. I'm still at work, so if you want to ever send me an email and keep this party going, please feel free to. But can I wish you and your family the compliments of the season? Jackie will be moving to gin in the next half an hour or so. We wish you all well. Thank you for your time. You are wonderful human. Blessings to you. Bye-bye. Bye.